I look forever far away. I haven't done this in a while, have I? Let's try this again. Hey everyone, my name is Taylor. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. Here I am again. I'm back again. I keep doing this. So yeah, I hope everybody's been doing good. I have some news to share. I hope this video will be a chatty kind of life update and what I've read recently. So I will try to put some timestamps down below if you want to skip around and don't want to hear me yammer on about some things. So where have I been? So I got some feedback from some friends that my last two videos I looked and sounded a bit tired, and there was a reason for that. And if you've stuck with me for a long time, I've been on Booktube for 2 years now. So if you've stuck with me for most of that time, you may remember that I did the same thing 2 years ago and just fell off the radar, did not, basically poof, disappeared. And so the same cause of that is what happened this time. So I am pregnant. I am expecting a little boy in February. So my body does not do well with pregnancy, especially the first and third trimesters. So the first trimester, which was the period of time I was gone this time, was especially hard for me. I thought the first pregnancy with my daughter was hard, but this one was way harder. And I was absolutely exhausted. I saw a meme somewhere that said there's exhausted, then there's pregnancy exhausted, and then there's pregnancy with having a toddler exhausted. And I was like, that is me. That is me to a T. I also had some fainting type spells to where I wouldn't completely lose consciousness, but I would get, basically it kind of described it as like a low battery, like my body's battery was just done. So I would have to rest quite frequently because of that. So that's decreased a little bit. I had morning sickness. So like I said, not to get too TMI into all that, but that was why I disappeared for a while. I just didn't have the energy or the motivation to do anything. And also I think my brain, I don't know if it's just because I don't know quite what's going on with my brain, but I feel like, the transitioning of what my life is going to look like in 9 months or less than that now. But, getting prepared for baby and all of that, I kind of focused more on pregnancy and mom type stuff and moved away from booktube type stuff. I don't know. It was like a mental block to where I couldn't hardly read at all. The books that I share with you is over a span of months, and there were not that many of them. Most of them were before I got too much into pregnancy symptoms. But yeah, I had like this mental block where I couldn't watch Booktube. I couldn't talk about books. I couldn't read books. I was not able to connect that way. So yeah, once I started getting better, a little bit closer into the second trimester, and sorry if you can hear me out of breath. It's hard to breathe. So anyways, whenever I got into the second trimester, I started feeling a little bit better, and the motivation to read came back, and I started watching other people's videos and getting involved and things like that. And I did miss y'all. Like I am so thankful for all the friends and who have reached out to me and asked me, where are you? Are you okay? So I really, really appreciate every single person who did, who cared enough to reach out and ask how I was doing. And I really, really, truly appreciate it. And Booktube, as I've said in the past, is such a community, and times like this, it just shows how much deeper of a connection it is versus just online, whatever. So yeah, I thank you for all of y'all's support and care of me and my family. So yeah, going back to finally finding the motivation to make videos, because also I'm not napping as much now. My video time turned into my nap time. So now I have a little bit more time to hopefully devote to making videos. I have enough energy to edit and all things and read. So here I am. I was actually going to start back. My plan had actually I had planned on filming a video on the Friday that Hurricane Helene hit. So that was kind of ironic, but my plans got thwarted. But yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because I live in South Carolina and my area was pretty heavily impacted by the hurricane. And I know I've heard there's not been as much national coverage about Hurricane Helene compared to previous natural disasters, particularly Hurricane Katrina. Same level of damage, but I've heard not many people have heard a lot about it unless you're local. So I did want to speak a little bit to that. I know most of the coverage has come from social media and videos and things like that. So a lot of what I seen is on there, our local news. But I did want to speak to it a little bit. Our area was not nearly as badly hit as Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. But this was the worst damage we'd seen in my entire life. I'm almost 30. And none of us were prepared for it entirely. I mean, I heard there was a storm coming maybe Tuesday or Wednesday before, and I looked more into it, and one of the meteorologists that I particularly trust, I don't really pay attention too much to local news too terribly much, but he was saying it's something that was going to be catastrophic. I was like, oh, okay, this is this is actually probably going to be pretty bad. So for our area, it hit while we were sleeping Thursday night into Friday morning. We lost our power at 2 a.m. on Friday. And we did not get it back until the following Friday in the evening. So over a week without power, with a toddler and being pregnant. It was definitely not easy, but like I said, I do not want to diminish what others have gone through. Like I said, I just want to share my personal experience with it, just to share information, but definitely I am so grateful. Even though this, like I said, has not been easy, it was more of an inconvenience, a little bit harder to take more steps to survive and function as a family. But my heart and my prayers have been and will continue to go out to the people that lost everything, lost loved ones. So yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking to see that area, because that area is like an hour and a half to 2 hours from me, if not, further out. But the closest parts of that, Asheville, I've talked about going to Biltmore, and just as a human being, seeing the devastation is heartbreaking, but also having a personal connection to it, growing up and going to those places as mini vacations, that's part of my life, my history. Have family from there, so yeah, it was, I do not want to complain about what happened to us, especially considering what other people have gone through. But yeah, so yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's just not something I'd ever survived. It's one of those things where you don't really think about it unless you're called to experience it. So yeah, so we had all our windows open to try and get some air in, because it's still, 70s, 80s here, and it's in the South, it's humid, so it makes it worse. At some points I felt like I couldn't really breathe that well, because that's a struggle just on the daily. But it got pretty humid and muggy in here. Yeah, so, but I will say at night it was nice. There was a bit of a breeze for a couple of nights. So it was like kind of like glorified camping, I guess. Yeah, so just trying to think of how to prepare a toddler's meals. Make sure you have enough time to do that, because it's going to take longer, and she's hungry. And warming up water on the grill, just so she won't have an ice cold bath. She'll have at least a lukewarm bath. Same thing for me, because I could not stand taking a bath in the freezing cold. I did try it once, and it was not fun. And then my husband is a prepper, so we had some dried food and stuff. We did have to go out for some food and supplies and gas, just because you have to have gas for your cars, but also for your generator that's running the refrigerator. So we had a generator. Didn't even know we had a generator until my husband told me. I was like, oh, okay. So we were able to run that for a few hours, off for a few hours, on for a few hours. So I got to be a pro at starting a generator. Like the second to last day before we got power back, our generator, that it was old, it was my papa's, the family let us have it. Nobody else wanted it, because again, this area does not see that type of weather occurrences. Like, we don't typically get hurricanes. I mean, I grew up hearing about Hurricane Hugo, which hit in 1989, and that was the worst hurricane we'd ever our area had ever experienced. And actually, Hurricane Helene has surpassed the death toll from that hurricane. So this one was way worse. So like, we don't have any experience with that. We didn't even get snow last year, so we might get like an occasional like ice snow storm situation that might take out some power lines, but a generator is not a typical commodity in my area. So it was amazing that we had one. Thank goodness we did. But so yeah, that powered our fridge for a while, until the gas started leaking, and so we had to borrow someone else's generator. But during that time frame, we lost a lot of fridge stuff, which again, that is nothing compared to everything else going on. But so yeah, making sure that we plugged up our lights for the night so we could see at night to the generator. Make sure I plugged up my daughter's sound machine so that she could sleep well. And so whenever we went out to get supplies, the lines were literally backed up from the cashier all the way to at the end of the store. All the bread was gone. All the meats were gone. Like, there was a supply issue, because, a lot of places didn't get power back for a long time. And, since they didn't have power, they lost their cold foods. There are only a few places. Our closest grocery store did not open up until around the same time we got power. And so we had to go into a bigger town to go to one of those stores. And so, since you have so many people going to less stores, things got bought up, long lines and things like that. We got lucky and happened to get gas pretty easily, but there were some people waiting a long time in gas lines. Gas stations ran out of gas. And some of them, again, because a lot of places were closed or without, because of no power for a long time. Driving down roads, I have never seen so many trees down in my life. If you had a tree, chances are at least one of your trees was down. We don't have very many trees in our yard, or big trees rather. So literally the only hardship that we had is the loss of power and our fridge stuff. So that was the extent of our damage. Although we did have our fence gate got blown completely down. But that my husband's gonna fix that. So that was nothing. Again, nothing compared to what other people went through. We knew somebody who's they were sleeping, and what a wake-up call. A huge oak tree fell onto their bed while they were sleeping in the bed. By the Lord's grace, they are still alive. They survived it, no injuries or anything, but that was unbelievable. I can't imagine waking up to that. Yeah, so there were deaths in our county, and the surrounding counties. And I hadn't looked at the news in like a week about it, but specifically like the death count. But the last I heard was 230. Still to this day, it's 2 weeks later, and they're still looking for people up in the North Carolina, just because that area is so remote. And I just, again, my mind is blown of how bad it got up there. Like, it looks completely different in some areas, just washed out, roads gone, like they've been pushed back 100 years or so to speak, with the infrastructure and things like that. And yeah, so yeah, yeah. So again, like the sorry, I'm all over the place. Pregnancy brain. So yeah, the trees. I mean, one of the roads we went down, it was like a line of, I think it was cedar or cypress trees. I'm not sure, but like it was like every other tree was down. I was like, crazy. Just this long line of trees being down. Like a lot of the trees were on power lines, which made it take longer. There was, I believe, 1.2 million in the Western Carolinas without power initially. And yeah, like pretty much my entire family, our entire friend set, nobody had power. It was so strange. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I will say it was very heartwarming to see the community response to it. And my husband, the day that, there were still remnants of the storm going on outside, and we did not properly prepare for this. Again, we did not fully comprehend the extent of what this was until after the fact. But he had gone outside cleaning stuff up, and he disappeared for a while, and I was like, has he been blown away? Where did my husband go? So I did see him down the street, and he was helping a neighbor chop down a tree that had fallen in the road. A massive tree. I think he said it was like at least 4 feet in diameter. He said he helped them move it, helped the neighbors move some trees in their yard. A lot of that going on, where just neighbors helping each other out. Facebook groups telling everybody, like, this place has gas, this place is closed, this place has cold foods, this place has formula, this is where you can donate some items, this organization is giving free food or giving showers, they have a trailer with laundry. So all of that, like, in the midst, sprinkled in throughout the images of devastation, there was that, which was absolutely beautiful to see. A lot of churches being the hands and feet of Jesus, sharing love. And even though our area was devastated, little d devastated, they still, like my personal church, they collected stuff to take up towards Western North Carolina. So a lot of giving, a lot of community love and things like that. So it was bittersweet time for sure, seeing the sadness, but also the hope. And I was pretty glued to the news for a while, just seeing. Can't believe my eyes. Even like I said, even in my area, in Greenville, like the Falls River Park, like overflowing, like massive amounts of water. The Saluda River, that's just close to where I live. It went from, I think it was 2 feet to 15 feet. The river near Biltmore, I think they surpassed the max, or the record, by 10 feet. That was the max. They went over 10 feet, which is where all this water is coming from. All the people, buildings being washed away from all the water. So when I heard that, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. So that was the hubs calling, which he always seems to do whenever I'm trying to film. And so that hasn't happened in a while, since I haven't filmed in a while. So I should have known. But anyways, I think I was saying that my eyes were pretty glued to the news and social media, and seeing videos and pictures and things from people. And there's two that I wanted to mention in case you were interested in looking them up. Pepper Basham put out a video. It was just like a live. She's just updating people about a book that's coming out from her. But I thought she talked, since she's from that area, she's from Asheville, she talked about her experiences, and that area, and the resiliency of the people, and the hope. And she stated very well what I'm probably struggling to say about Christ's people helping, and how beautiful that was to see. So I'll try and link it. I think it's an Instagram story, an Instagram live video, but I'll try and remember to link it. The other story is a news story that I had seen, and it was of a family caught on a roof, and it was a set of grandparents, their daughter, and their grandchild. And the mother, the mother of the 7-year-old, was in communication with her sister, and I think she's in a different state or something, but they were in communication, so she knew they were on the roof, what was happening. And then all of a sudden the communication went dark, and it was actually because the house collapsed, and they were washed away, basically. But the grandparents did not make it, and neither did the 7-year-old. But the mom, the sister, she was rescued 4 hours later. And the local news did an interview with her, and when I tell you I boo-hooed over this story, I'm getting teary-eyed about it now, but that story just truly touched me on how devastating and sad some of these stories are, and these people's experiences. But this family's faith was just so beautiful to see. They interviewed the mom and her sister, and she just kept bringing it back to Jesus the whole time. And she said that the 7-year-old was crying out to Jesus to save him. And oh my gosh, I agree with Mom. Like, that little kid is my hero. Like, it was so brave, and I can't imagine what that family is going through. But they have peace, that they're with Jesus now. So that was just such a bittersweet, moving story. So I wanted to link it. Hopefully I can find it. But like I said, what I went through is nothing compared to other people. But I did want to share it in case it might be helpful for the future, because Taylor's tips for surviving, I guess, something happening. I think a lot is going on in the world right now, so I think it would be best to be prepared for things. Cash, because a lot of stores that we went to, they didn't have power, or they weren't taking, even if they did have power, they weren't taking cards. Their card machine was down, I guess because internet or something, I don't know. But make sure you have cash on hand. Make sure your car is filled with gas at all times, and you have gas cans if you're in a space that can house that. Have a generator. Have dried goods. We use My Patriot Supply, so it's good for like 20 to 25 years or something. Canned goods. Make sure you have a way to light things when it's dark. Yeah, those are just the top things that come to mind. But I definitely believe in preparation more than I did before. So, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about Helene. Our area is still, there's still cleanup stuff going on. And I believe that the western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee areas, I think even parts of Virginia too, those areas, it's going to take a long time before things, they'll never be back to normal. That area will never be the same again. But before we can see true recovery. So anyways, yeah. So if you stuck through all that, I appreciate you listening to me ramble. But I did want to talk about the books that I read. I think it was between June and September. So, yeah, I have a grand total of 4 to talk about, because I don't think I read anything the month of August, I think it was. I was pregnant at the time whenever I read these 2 books I'm about to talk about, but I was well enough to read at that point. So I decided to reread the Hunger Games trilogy. Actually, I have 5 because I don't physically have the 3rd book in the Hunger Games trilogy, because I did read it, but I don't physically own it. Yeah, so I had watched the movies a while back, and I enjoyed the movies. I think that they're, that dystopian era, if y'all know what I'm talking about, like, it's just kind of nostalgic. But I had not read the books in quite a while. So I wanted to see what my thoughts were now versus when I read them as a teenager and as a non-Christian at that point. So book 1, I think, is the best out of the trilogy. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it's about. But I think this series is pretty much safe for a secular series as far as like content goes, because there weren't really, there's maybe like a couple of words, but they were very, very mild, like cuss words, like maybe 1 or 2 per book, if that. So it was really nothing noticeable at all, and that is commendable for a secular book, period. And there was no sexual content until the 3rd book. The 3rd book, at the very, very, very end, I'm talking like the last 2 pages, there is a hint that something happens, but it's very closed door. You don't really, it's kind of more alluded to, and you don't know, like, that whoever she ends up with, they do get married. So I don't know if it was at that point or before, but it's kind of, it's not bad as far as like I could look past it, because we were literally like 2 pages before the end of the book. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I think maybe I missed that as a teenager, because I was like, wait a second, that's what she means. So yeah, it's very not direct, is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I mean, there's mentions of like nudity and stuff in here, which is weird because, this is children that are being sent to the games to die, so they're, between, I think it's 12 and 18 or something. So, the whole like disgusting society is like basically putting these kids on a show for everybody, and some of it has to do with nudity. So that's not good, but it's not super in your face or anything. I mean, this whole series is, not about a happy topic. It's about survival and dystopian and all that. But like I said, I like the first book the best, then the second book, and then the third book, I did not like it that much. I mean, I think mainly it's because you're in Katniss's head, and I think she's a pretty strong character in these 2 books, more so in the first book. And then the third book, she's like spiraling, very pessimistic, and I don't know, I just felt like my whole mood came down in the third book, just because the whole book is pretty pessimistic. And I will say in the third book, if you want to reread the series, I would caution you on a certain scene that has child death in it. It was more detailed than I had remembered. I think it's more detailed than the movie, actually. But it's not like explicitly like going super duper into detail, but it is pretty detailed, if that makes any bit of sense. So that was a bit disturbing for me as mom, especially since they were talking about some toddlers and children being killed, and the physical side of that. So yeah, those would be the 2 things I would caution about, would be that scene, the child death scene, murder scene, and mass murder, and the sex reference, or yeah, I don't know how else to put it, but yeah. So also the love triangle is so annoying. I am team PETA. I know some people are team Gale. I just think Gale is annoying. He had his chance. He should have said something to begin with. He did not become interested until PETA came in the picture and tried vying for her, and I'm just like, PETA is just steadfast. He's there. But that's my personal opinion. It is what it is, but I don't really care for love triangles. That is just so typical of this era of books, is to have a stupid love triangle that did not need to be there, and to provide unnecessary angst. Like this, I was like, this one especially, I'm like, oh, I'm so over this. Like, can I just get back to the story? But anyways, I will say this is, I would be, I can't get words out, but this is pretty mild, especially compared to what's written nowadays. So yeah, I would rate that I didn't even tell you what I rated them. I'm so bad at this now. You get out of practice. I think I rated this one, the first one, The Hunger Games, 4 stars. And I think I rated this one 4 stars. I think the other one 2 stars. I don't know. You can look at my good rates, but I enjoyed them. But they were definitely, I think I would have rated them back in the day like 5 stars. So, that's just the topic of it all. It's just kind of depressing. So it is what it is. Okay, so then a sweet friend reached out to me, which is Old American Spirit. If you aren't following her channel, you should. She has excellent content. Another sweet Southern girl, and she puts out a lot of good stuff. So I'll link her below, so you can go check her out if you haven't. But she reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to read a book, and this is the point where I had lost a lot of motivation for book-related stuff. So I was like, well, I need some peer pressure to be able to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and say yes and hope for the best. And she also suggested we read a book that is totally out of my wheelhouse. So I was definitely putting myself through it. But that is Tea Room for Two by Susan Page Davis. That is the first book in the Tea Room Mysteries by Guideposts. Yes. So yeah, I have never read a cozy mystery before, so this was definitely new for me. And I rated this 3.5. I will say this is a Christian cozy mystery, so that is a huge check mark for me, because a lot of the ones that I have, mysteries that I have tried, are secular, and there's always some content or something or other. So this was totally good for Christian content. I definitely would rate this a 3 out of 3 for Christian content, because there was everyday prayer, there was scripture, they talked about God and their decisions, they went to church, like checked all the boxes as far as like Christian content. Very well done. And it wasn't like preachy or in your face, in my opinion. It was just woven in very artfully into the storyline. So this is about two widows. They're actually cousins, and they decide to open a tea room as part of their retirement, and it's in a quaint Maine town. And so this is them opening up the tea room, and there's actually, I was surprised that there was multiple mysteries going on in this. One of the main mystery gets solved, but the other ones kind of continue on, I believe, into the next book. But there's a teapot that they buy in like a flea market type thing, and someone's trying to get it type of thing. So they're trying to figure out where did this teapot come from? What's it worth? Who's trying to get it? So yeah, there's other mysteries involved in this too, but it was very well written. It was cute. It was cozy. There were a couple of things that I was like, I don't know if this is actually realistic or not, but whatever. I had a really fun time with Old American Spirit reading this book, and yeah, I may continue with the series at some point. It won't be anytime soon, just because I'm a super duper mood reader, and right now I want to read like historical romance, romantasy, thrillers, that type of thing. So one day I will get back to this series, but it might be a little bit. And then the last book, speaking of that mood reading thing that I was just talking about, words. So I picked up Cities of Smoke and Starlight by Allie Ernest. This is book 1 in a series. And if you are planning to read this, just know going into this, this is not a finished series. I know there's at least going to be 3 books. So book 1 and book 2 are out. But book 3, I think she just finished editing the first draft, because I thought it was just a duology, and I got into book 2 and I got to like a quarter of the way almost done, and I was like, there's no way this thing is going to end that quick. So there's got to be a book 3, and lo and behold, she's working on book 3. So yeah, I just know that going into it. But this is a sci-fi fantasy romance. Yeah, so it is about Hallie. She is a scholar. This is like set like 1,000 years in the future. They're on a different planet, and she is studying the language and the lore and the culture. She's like a scholar of the original people of the planet. She's called into this mission, secret mission, along with this other dude, His name's Case. He's a pilot. He's very like the definition of cocky, fly off the handle, irresponsible guy. And they have a meeting and they didn't go well, and they had some interactions, so they're actually thrust into this quest together, and they're looking for something. So I will say I rated this, I think it was 3.5. I think that, well, first of all, the romance. This is an extremely slow burn. There is a hint that they may start to have feelings at the end of this book, and I won't talk about the second book at this point, but almost near the end of that one, that's whenever you get more romance. So this is more character based and plot based versus like romance based. And I will say too, like, I guess I am not a banter person. I thought I was, because I like Pride and Prejudice. That's like the enemies to lover, like banter type thing. I guess because they deliver it in a more respectful way, versus this, I feel like they were just rude, like straight up rude to each other. And she started it because the way they meet, he comes into she works for a bookshop and she just got fired, but she's working out the rest of her hours. He came in past the hours, but she left the door unlocked, so she gets all huffy with him and is super rude, and it's like, you only have 10 minutes. Like, they go back and forth. But she started it, and I'm like, the door was open, like there's no need. Anyways, so that they are quite nasty, in my opinion, to each other, like at least half the book. They just do not mesh well at all. They just clash constantly, and a lot of it is quite, like, some of their actions were quite childish, so I did not like that part of it. So by the end of the book, I was like, I don't see how they would have formed any remote kind of attachment or affection or attraction or anything. But again, that's me. I did read another book that other people like that has banter, and it's behind me. I'm not going to try and get it because I have to, yeah. Like, you know what? I'm going to get it. Married at Sunrise. A lot of people who like similar books to me like this, and I did not like it primarily because of the romance and the banter, and I didn't like it. If the banter is rude to me, I don't like it. But anyways, I like this primarily because the idea of the world and things. But I will say, I feel like this series, the author is trying to give you a lot of information at one time and still remain mysterious and leave you questioning, but it's too much in my opinion, because I was confused a lot of the time, and even in book 2 I'm still confused. Just a lot of stuff. I'm like, what is happening? I can follow the gist of what's going on, but a lot of the lore and like the specifics and how this works and all of that, I'm very confused. So there is magic in this one, but I hesitate to call it magic because it's not clearly defined as magic. So my interpretation of it at this point is kind of, they refer to it as gifts from the planet residence god. So I kind of think of it more along the lines of like superhero powers, but again, there's not enough information given to like truly know what's going on. So I've been fine with it, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make. If I'm having trouble being understood, it's because I did not understand entirely. So yeah, I still liked it. It's 3.5 is not a bad rating for me. Like 3 is still, I liked it pretty good. But I would not recommend it for everybody, if that makes sense. There were definitely some problems I had with it, as far as like my comprehension and things like that. Check out my Goodreads for all the content stuff. As far as like, this is secular, so it is clean fiction. There's no sexual content. I mean, like I said, it's a slow burn, so nothing's happening. There's a couple of things, a couple content things that I personally didn't have any problems with. So check out my Goodreads for my full, maybe a little bit more coherent thoughts on it. But yes, so those are the books I read. As far as future content plans, I still need to do my 2-year book celebration, so we'll see if I get around to doing that. We'll see. I need to do, I think the next video I want to do is a fall recommendations video. I've seen a few people do that, and I want to do my own, so hopefully I can get that video out. I've got a ton of tags I need to get to, which I love tags. I'm very excited to do all of them. I have a book haul I need to do, so I don't know how much I can commit to Booktube, just because, you know, pregnancy is unpredictable, so how I'm feeling and all of that, and how much time I have. So I'm going to try and do the best I can with creating videos, especially since coming up I won't be able to for a few months. Oh, so if you, again, if you've been with me for a while, and you heard that my second baby is due in February, I have a readathon in February, the Once Upon a February readathon. And so that was actually, this shows you how much of Booktube has been ingrained into my life. As one of the first things that I thought about whenever I found out I was having a baby in February. I was like, oh, what about my readathon? So the tentative plan for now is that I'm hoping to pre-film all of readathon related stuff in January. I need to reach out to the host pretty soon, just to prepare all of that, because I am going to do co-hosts again. And then just have that all scheduled out, and so that it can still run and occur no matter where I am at close to birth. So I will participate in live time as much as I am able, but once the baby's here, that ain't happening. So I will probably read, just because I'll need to stay alive during that time. But as far as like updating y'all, live sprints are totally probably not going to happen, but we'll see. So the tentative plan is that it is going to happen even if I go into labor early. I will still make the readathon happen. I will do it. So yes, I think that's all I wanted to say. I know that was a lot, but I make up for lost time, don't I, with jabbering away. But yeah, so thank y'all so much for watching, for sticking with me if you've been with me, if you've been watching me for a while. I really truly appreciate it, and this community means the world to me, which is why I want to come back. I've missed y'all and conversing about books, yeah, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what y'all have to say. Let me know if you were impacted by Helene, how you're doing, what you're reading. Let me know everything you want to in the comments. I'm procrastinating ending this video. Sorry about that. So yeah, I hope y'all have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.